Hi again, everyone. I'm Ollie Matthews. This is Refuge from Narcissism, and this refugee video is a sponsored video sponsored by Anonymous for S and J. And here's her story. Dear Ollie, we will need a sponsor for this letter as I have recently lost my job and we're in the middle of finding me another. I have written you before for myself and my situation. However, I am now writing for my boyfriend. Instead of explaining everything from the beginning, let's just say that his mom is the type that uses her kids as a crutch and excuse for her husband to be with her. She did everything she could to ensure that they never wanted to leave home and disabled them to not know how to deal with life. Both her sons have been married one time, and for both marriages, she would constantly complain about how awful the women they were with were and would never let up. Cut to, they are both divorced and back with mom. My boyfriend had plans to save up and move out when he returned home, and he always wanted it to be temporary. Unfortunately, he contracted valley fever, which is normally not something that is life-altering. However, for my boyfriend, he developed it in his knee, and for an entire year, he was unable to walk, all while going through numerous doctors and being misdiagnosed over and over. He felt helpless and depressed. And of course, during this time of him being ill, his mom was more than happy to step into the role of caring mother who made her son feel like he could not do anything, constantly telling him she would make the phone calls to doctors. This way she could make sure he got the treatments he deserved, etc. She added herself to his disability claim as someone who could speak on his behalf and took control of everything for him. He became depressed and did not date for years after this happened. Unable to work due to the deterioration on his knee from the valley fever, he was told that eventually he will not be able to walk at all. Because of this, he felt that he had nothing to offer a woman, so he avoided dating. I actually approached him, and when we met, it was an instant connection. We decided on night one that we wanted to have a relationship. We've been together for 4 years, and although we have our ups and downs because of his insecurities, we are now stronger than ever, and he has really grown into his own person. Believe it or not, Ollie, the whole thing that made everything fall apart was a sheet. Yes, a bed sheet. When we had first decided to live together, we had moved in with a friend and rented a room from him. After about a year of living with his friend, he let us know that he was intending on selling the home and moving in with his fiance. My boyfriend said that we should save more money and get our own spot and recommended that we move in with his mother. Why does he always run back to mommy? Every time there's something, I understand he got sick and couldn't walk, but he went back when there was a divorce. He's got to break this pattern because it's very son husbandy that every time there's an issue, he thinks he's going to crawl back up in his mommy's vagina and go spend some time back in the womb. It's got to stop. I did not know everything I had mentioned above at this point. I had met her one time and he rarely talked about her or hardly talked to her while we were together. Once we moved in, things were so-so. I noticed immediately how involved she wanted to be in everything he did. Every time we left the house, she was asking, "Where are you going and what time will you be home?" He would usually just say to the store, and I don't know. I would tell him that was a bit much to ask him every time like he was a child, and she would also open his mail and say, "Oh, I thought it was your dad's because they have the same name," and then go into why and then go into why doesn't your bank account have more money? Where is your money going, etc. Of course. Well, don't bank at the same bank as them, I would say. That would be one. Then she had her roof done. Turned out the people who did her roof were not legally licensed and did a poor job in her opinion. My boyfriend offered his money help by volunteering me to help her write the Better Business Bureau. During the time I was helping her with this, everything was good and there were no issues in the house. Ultimately, she got the roof for free and I saved her $10,000. It was right after this shit hit the fan. It was about a week to be exact. We got up one morning on a Saturday and his mom told both of us, I need to talk to both of you. We sat in the kitchen and waited for her and my boyfriend's dad. His mom proceeds to tell us she's missing a sheet. When my boyfriend and I ask her what sheets she is missing out of confusion, she explains that it is not a set of sheets, but a single flat panel sheet that's missing. Uh-oh. Sounds like a Scooby-Doo mystery. My boyfriend tells her, are you sure you didn't misplace it or anything? Because we don't have any of your sheets. You're welcome to check the room, but there's no way we would have your sheet because it's flannel and we both have a warm body temperature as it is. She then proceeded to say that it was not because the sheet was missing that she was upset, but she was upset that we went into her room. We both again told her we were not in her room, nor would we have a reason to be in her room. My boyfriend and I told her, I can't believe you're accusing us of taking a sheet. To which she replies, I'm not accusing you, but who else lives here? These were fights that would go on. These were fights that would go on between my mother and her mother and the sisters, and to even a similar extent to me, because my mother would, you moved it, like nobody touched your shit, crazy. Nobody. And the thing is, they know it's crazy. They know it's crazy and they can't stop themselves. So they make it about something. Well, it's not really about the sheet. It's that you were in my room. I wasn't in your room. I wasn't in your room, crazy. The ridiculousness of that statement alone is just beyond someone who has lost it. When she began to ask me about the sheet, my boyfriend stepped in and told her that I am not her child to be lecturing or asking questions, and that if she had something to say, she could tell him, but she was not going to disrespect me in front of him. Well, good for him. This sent her into a rage. I'm sure it did. She then stated that she was tired of helping him and paying his bills. Confused, he told her, what are you talking about? And she went into her room to retrieve envelopes with statements and shaking, she held them, yelling, see these bills, I had to pay them because you weren't paying them. And Ollie, we had not even seen this bill. I say, bill because it was not bills. And she stated it was a single bill. We found out, and after this happened, all from the same place. My boyfriend asked her, why are you opening my mail? And I did not ask you to pay it, but okay, how much do I owe you? She said that's not the point and it doesn't matter. I just don't want no one in my room. So back through the same bullshit circle we went. And then she said that she knows for a fact that someone was in her room because she found a gift bag in the garbage. You're probably thinking what we were at the time, which is, what the fuck are you talking about, a fucking gift bag? Which, by the way, was my boyfriend's response, and she proceeded to tell us that she had a gift bag in her drawer and that she found it in the garbage. My boyfriend asked her what was in the bag. She said nothing was in it, but the bag was in her drawer, and then it was in the garbage. Or, I'm sorry, in the garage. Not the garbage, the garage. So his father's the one who probably did. It sounds like the father has it. I would almost bet. Since he's not there for this conversation and you were waiting for him to come in, my guess is he needed a bag, he needed something. He probably took the sheet too and covered something in the garage with it. My boyfriend laughed at her and said, okay, now you think we went into your room and found an empty gift bag in your drawer and decided, hey, let's fuck with her and hide it in the garage? Does that make sense to you? From there, she started with the whole, I don't understand why you're yelling at me when I'm the one who should be mad. And my boyfriend responded before I could, what reason do you have to be mad? She scoffed and told me why is he like that, and you should tell him something. And I told her, nope, I don't tell him how to feel. I just allow him to express his feelings as he has them. And I don't know what else you expect either of us to say. She was red with anger and told my boyfriend that from that point on, she would not deal with him in money, and that the rent we paid was to be paid to his dad. I smiled, thinking this was probably the best thing she could have done without realizing it. In disbelief over the bullshit that had just happened, my boyfriend was stuck in confusion. I told him I had been through a similar situation, so this was a piece of cake. My boyfriend called the bills that she had been paying, as she stated, and asked how many payments were made and how much total, etc. the next day. Come to find out, she paid $17.42 one time, as that was the balance on the bill, which was a medical bill that did not even need to be paid as the insurance was going to cover it. I decided to go ahead and get a copy of the statement along with the receipt of payment, and I put exactly $17.42 in an envelope, and my boyfriend was going to give it to his dad to show him the bill that she bitched about was only $17.42. This reminds me of something that happened when my mother, back in the 90s when pagers came out, okay? Everybody had them. So I think I got a pager. I was like 18, 19. I got a pager. You know, all your friends, you're paging each other. Yada, yada, yada. My mother had this meltdown where we're in this 3-hour fight over the phone bill, over the pager cost, over, you know, I got all these charges on these pagers and yada, 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 and so on and so forth. And I pull out the and I see it's like a 9-cent charge. So finally I asked the question after like 2-3 hours, like, how much are we talking about here? She's like, I'll tell you right now. $1.32. My father, that was one time my father, like, you fucking asshole. Don't you ever bring up the phone bill again. Ever. Ever. That's what they do. They make mountains out of molehills looking for fucking power and control. Oh my God. Oh, that fight. Oh. And there I am arguing without asking the basic question. The first question should have been asked, like, well, how much was the bill? Should have just taken $17.42 and thrown it at her at that point. Oh, God. But my boyfriend decided to take it a step further and confronted her, directly asking her a few days later, how much do I owe you for the bills you've been paying for me? With anger and attitude, she replied, it doesn't matter. And he told her, apparently does, because you made an issue out of it, and we're even shaking when you showed us the statements So how much? So how can I pay you? Because I do not need you to pay any of my bills. She again said it didn't matter, and my boyfriend told her, well, I called them, and they said you made only one payment one time in the amount of $17.42. Unless they are wrong and you need to let me know so they properly credit the account. So it just the 1742, or did you pay more than that? She refused to answer and just looked at the TV and turned up the volume and pretended he was not standing there. He then told her, okay, I guess it was just $17.42. So I'll give the money to Dad to pay you back. This was the first time he stood up to his mom and called her out on her bullshit. So he holds it as a Remember Abel Day in his life. We moved out of his mom's after that initial talk, and she hasn't spoken to me since. Lucky you. And in turn, he does not talk to her. She still tries to get the best of him, though, like she had stopped his best friend from childhood at the store a few times to talk shit and say things like her son is taking out loans for me, and that is how I got my car, etc. However, this friend knew that I obtained my 97 Chevy Blazer, like a loan is needed to buy his vehicle, from the passing of an uncle, and besides that, I had a full-time job that came with more than enough overtime that I never wanted or needed anything from her son. But nonetheless, she wanted to talk shit, and this friend did tell her back that he knew all these things were not true, that he knew I got the car from family, that I indeed was working many, many hours, so the need to take out loans was not true. She scoffed at his friend. That's what they do. They scoff at the truth. They scoff and they ignore. That's what they do. She scoffed at his friend and said, well, I don't know what's going on with him, and I don't care if you tell him that I stopped to talk to you about any of this. It's been almost a year with no contact, and my boyfriend is now being able to make his own decisions. He realizes the dysfunction that was at home and refuses to ever return. He has built up an anger, and Ollie, he's mostly angry with himself. Yeah, that's how that works. Like, why was I so dumb? Why couldn't I see this? Why couldn't I see this? Well, luckily, he had you at this point in a stable relationship, okay, which allowed him to get some clarity when he go. Because usually when you go back like that, it ends a lot worse than that. I mean, you're lucky he was able to avoid it. I mean, I guess the ridiculousness of the argument is just one of those moments, which is why I remember that fight so clearly, because it's just the ridiculousness of the narcissist top moments stick in your mind forever. And now, as he's stayed no contact, he's going to get more and more clarity of these incidents that happen. So he's going to get angrier. He constantly tells me that he feels stupid and pathetic for allowing himself to live like this for so many years. Yeah, man, I get it. We all do. We all do. But this is how you've been trained since birth. I mean, yeah, I mean, you feel stupid now, but you see it. You see it for what it is. Stupid people never see it for what it is. Ever. Any advice on how to deal with those feelings would be great. You know, you got to put the anger where it belongs, on them. Okay? Understand something. Your anger he's got to understand his anger is righteous. This is another case of righteous anger. He needs his anger for a while. He needs his anger for a while because he's learning how to process it. He doesn't even fully understand yet all the things that were done to manipulate him. Okay? What he needs to do, okay, is use this moment. Is to use that moment, okay, as his home base of to where to go to know that he's not crazy. $17.42. That number should be burned into his memory. He should get it. Like, I'm anti. I don't like tattoos. But if you're into tattoos, he should have that tattooed on him. $17.42. As a put it right on his wrist, is on somewhere where he could always see it. As a reminder, $17.42. But he has reconnected with family that his mom cut off over the years, and we think we finally realize why the bag in the garage was an issue. After reconnecting with his cousin, we learned that his mother had numerous lovers over the years, and some that were more serious, lasting for 15 years or more behind his dad's back. His cousin was able to provide us with names and said that she was with her for a long time, she was with her for a lot of the going out, and that the items she would receive from these men were hidden in her room, usually in her drawer. This made sense why she would flip out over an empty gift bag found laying out, because if we knew the truth or her husband found out, she would lose the life of staying home, doing nothing, and spending the money her husband works hard for. Don't think he doesn't know. Don't think he doesn't know or suspect. Don't think he doesn't already know. I'm sure he does. He's just cuck. He's just another cuck. The 1 year thing was going well until there was a death in the family, and we went to the funeral, and yes, she was there. Luckily, my boyfriend had told some family about what happened, and many members of the family had similar experiences with her, from being accused of stealing change from pockets while doing laundry for her to stealing a picture she had. This is borderline behavior, by the way. She's a borderline. This is what borderlines do. Constantly looking for ammunition to hold over people's head. Constantly. So it was not hard for most of them to believe that this had happened. At the church, my boyfriend was visibly upset, thinking of all the years he did not visit family because she had lied so much about what they had supposedly done to her. When everyone was walking out of the church, she saw my boyfriend and went to hug him and cry because everyone else had already done so. She caught him by surprise, and he kind of just stood there, and all his family was looking at her display of crying very loudly, all of a sudden with no tears, and family members just shook their heads at her, and she didn't say a single word to my boyfriend, and she wouldn't even look at me, although I waited just to shake my head at her with disgust. She walked away, and my boyfriend sat down and decided right there he was done carrying the sadness and anger he felt, that he wanted to let it go and let her go so he can truly move on with his life. I hope he can, but understand something. He has to understand something. There are going to be times, and it's going to be often, that this anger is going to come back. It's going to creep back. Okay? He hasn't even, it's been a year. So much more is going to come out. I hope he's able to do that. I do. I just want him to be prepared for the anger and like why I forgave her. It's like, no, you really didn't. Okay, if he forgave her, he forgave her. Only he knows if he truly forgave her. But if he's forgiving her just to say he forgive her so she can move on, to me, that's not forgiveness. No, I forgive it. I just don't want it anymore. That. But if you're going to do that and then go back and then start remembering all this other stuff and get all mad again, you haven't really forgiven. You can't forgive until you even know everything you went through. These damn narcs just never shut the fuck up, and there's always so many freaking skeletons in the closet. It's no wonder they are crazy, and they have to hide so much of the shit they themselves do. Overall, Ollie, my boyfriend would like to hear what you have to say about this entire situation. We look forward to hearing you. hearing from you. We appreciate you greatly. Thanks, S and J. Well, like I said, only you know if you forgive. Only you. But trying to forgive somebody just so you say, I'm trying to move on, I'm trying to forgive, that never works. If you got to tell yourself to forgive somebody, you haven't. And it's going to be impossible. It's nearly impossible or impossible to forgive somebody, when you don't even know everything that you've gone through. So, understand your anger is righteous. You deserve every ounce of it. Okay? What you have a situation here is you basically have a borderline mother who most of the family has alienated. Okay? But you didn't realize it, and shit rolls downhill. And you're at the bottom of the hill of being one of her offspring. You don't know why. You're just getting one side of her crazy ass story. I'll say this. Don't think your father doesn't know or suspect that your mother was whoring around, okay, for 20-something years. Don't. I mean, those are souvenirs. Why she's keeping souvenirs in her bedroom from other men? Whew. Keep her out of your life, dude. Keep her out of your life, because it's just, I'm very glad that you saw through it. Okay? And what I would do, that's $17.42, okay, needs to be tattooed in your brain or tattooed somewhere on your body, so you never forget that number. $17.42. So I hope that helps. Thank you so much for your story, and thank you to Anonymous for sponsoring. I really appreciate it. Thank you to everybody watching. Please leave any opinions or advice in the comment section below. And again, if you want your story read on the channel, you have a topic you'd like me to cover, something you'd like me to expose, you'd like to set up a Skype, phone call, have a private video made, you'd like to sponsor a video like this for someone who needs help and can't afford it, or just make a contribution to the channel in general to keep it supported, growing, and successful, because this channel survives 100% on contributions from all of you. Without you guys, all of this goes away. So if you like what you see here and you want to see more videos like this, you know what to do with the PayPal or Zelle or email link in the description box below. Also, please like and share this video wherever you can. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't, and be sure to click the subscription bell to be notified of all my video uploads. I'm Ollie Matthews. This has been Refuge from Narcissism. Take care.